Hello everyone and welcome to Womanity. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Ruth Kulaisi and as always your company is a true pleasure. And today I am honored to have on set and with us here Mutale Mwanza, and we're going to dive into more than what we see on social media and what you think you know, to talk business and to talk financing, to talk branding, to talk family, because I know that as women we have such big aspirations for life and we have dreams for what we want to do and where we want to be, but sometimes the question is, how do we get there? So we're going to be talking to a woman who has made it happen for herself. So I'm going to ask you to stay tuned. This is Womanity. Mutale, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, welcome. What does a day in the life of Mutale look like? Because when we met, I met you with a full team, traveling the world, and then you're out here. What does your day normally look like?
Goodness. At home, normally, I wake up early in the morning, early enough to hear my mom taking my son go to school.
Okay.
Because I don't do it myself.
Yes.
I probably do it like twice a term. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much work. So probably about 6:30, I say good morning to my son, just greet my mom. He normally sneaks into my room to steal my perfume. He does that a lot. And then I go back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on the day, I could probably have meetings or I could be shooting something. My day normally starts very early and ends very late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it starts with family?
Starts with family, ends with family.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
I would assume, or at least from what we see, it may look like your life, when you're saying it ends with family, it looks like you have quite an active social life. How are you able to then manage, aside from your social life, which is also your work life?
Yeah.
How are you able to then resolve the two? Because at the end of the day, being a mom and having ambition, there's that mom guilt, which is real. I mean, I have it even myself when I'm like, okay, how much time have I spent with my girl? And at the same time, you're thinking, I've got bills to pay, but you've got dreams as well. How did you reconcile everything to come in together?
Okay, so lucky for me, my son is 17 years old. So I am not exactly somebody he wants to spend all his time with.
Yes.
Because he's got other friends.
Uh-huh.
Maybe even a girlfriend. Who knows? He's
Who
a teenager.
knows?
Yeah. You know? So lucky for me, he doesn't 100% depend on mommy time.
Yes.
Because he's got other things going on. He's playing football, so he's got other friends. And I try my best to spend as much time as possible with my son. Contrary to what you think, I actually live a very boring life.
That is why I asked what a day in your life looks like. What is a boring life?
A boring life in terms of the social aspect.
Yes.
So a lot of people would assume that my weekend is normally like, like parties and just chilling and like doing a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of smoke in the air, bottles everywhere. That happens when I'm booked for a gig, when I'm working.
Yes.
And if I'm not working, I don't party, I don't go out. I could be at home watching a movie, watching football with my son, talking to my mom. I live with my mom and my son. So I live a pretty normal life.
And if you're not working, this would mean the hosting and...
The hosting gigs.
Yes.
Or like emceeing corporate events or like doing other stuff, because the hosting part of my job has different dynamics to it. So I could be hosting a party, or I could be hosting a product launch. It could be end of year party. It's just different types of events, right? But the fun ones, like the really, really fun ones where people assume I turn up every weekend, I don't host them every weekend. And when I do host them, that's the only time I have to like have a proper turn up. If I'm not doing that, if I'm not paid to do that, I'm at home.
You are paid to turn up. You're not just going to turn up for turning up.
Never. You will never find me in the club. If my face is not on a poster, oh no, you will never find me in the club.
Wow. Okay, I did not expect that.
What would I be doing?
You're only showing up if money is involved.
Yes, because
As it should be.
As it should be, because when you build a brand of this magnitude, you just can't be out there
All over
giving
the place,
yourself
right?
for free. Because when I go out, there's an expectation. People want to meet, people want to take pictures, people want to buy drinks for me, people expect me to buy drinks for them. So what exactly am I doing just taking myself out for free to take pictures in a club of a person who owns the club who would just profit off
Benefit
me,
from
me being there? You gotta
Okay.
pay me, bro. Then I'll show up.
strategic moves.
That's it. That's it.
Talking about building a brand, were you intentional in terms of what your brand is now, or you kind of just lived your life and things happened as they happened and you became who you are?
A bit of both. I was intentional about building the brand. I just when I started, I didn't know what I wanted the brand to be. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was kind of trying to figure myself out. So I started doing radio, then I got into TV, and I thought to myself, okay, when I lived in SA, I picked up a few things from different media personalities there. I picked up on branding, on how to use social media, hosting gigs, having a team of people, just having to look after everything, you know, because you can't do everything yourself.
Yes.
Having a team of people also helps create employment, so it's very important that you're not selfish enough to just do everything yourself, because you can't be the makeup artist, you can't be the stylist, you can't be the assistant, you can't be the one booking the gigs, taking the gigs, writing the proposals. Like, give people stuff to do as well. You know, let people work and then pay them for that, right? So I picked up a lot when I lived in South Africa, and I thought to myself, I want to build a brand, but I just, at the time, I didn't know what I wanted the brand to be. So when I started doing what I love, which is radio, TV, obviously, that means people are paying a bit more attention. People now are watching me. They're watching my social media. Somehow, somewhere along the way, life kind of happened based off what people decided to start picking from me. And I noticed that it was a lot of controversial stuff. And I thought to myself, like, why do you only just pick
The controversy.
the bad things? Or like when something bad happens, it's like you want to make that the headline. If I do something nice, like nobody's talking about it. But then I remembered something I was taught in journalism. If it bleeds, it leads. Sadly. So.
Okay, so the controversy is what led.
And it sold more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you, in your heart, comfortable with it, or did you just then have to, like you said, it leads, so I'm just going to go with it? Or how did you reconcile that within yourself to say, okay, maybe this is what people are looking for? But like you said, you're not turning up every day. You're at home. You're spending time with your family. That's a value, I'm sure, that is important for you as well. How do you then come to say, okay, this is what the people seem to be resonating with and liking, and then this is who I am, and settle somewhere in the middle, if it's in the middle at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a difficult situation to navigate, but it's something that I learned to master as time went on. I decided to use certain things to my advantage. If I realized I was trending for something, I would use that as an opportunity to promote products and services and just enhance the visibility of the companies that have endorsed me or paid me like lots of money to, you know, just sell their products and just, you know, shine visibility on their brand. And then I also realized that if people could do that to me, use controversy or just sell bad information about me, then I could do the same. So I would deliberately throw in a few things that would just be a bit offensive sometimes, just to see like, where's this gonna go? And it would go the way I would expect it, which is more numbers, more likes, more following, more talkability, trends, and I kind of learned to master that. So it hasn't always been easy, and I haven't always been comfortable, because there's certain things that I've been able to control and things which have been out of my control. But regardless, I decided to just use any situation to my advantage.
Is the end goal making the money then, that, you know what, whatever happens, at least let's get paid?
100%. It's always about the Benjamins, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking of now finding yourself and finding your voice, and also being comfortable, like I've said, to reconcile people's voices and their thoughts and who you actually are, and bringing those things together. Issues of mental health can be a big thing.
Yeah.
Because there's the internal battle of, this is who I am, and I understand you're a Christian girl as well.
Yeah.
And you're then looking at, this is what they think I am.
Yeah.
Then there's the comments. People don't know your life. They don't know the truth. How do you manage to keep yourself centered? Because I believe that keeping your peace can be very difficult when you're in the public eye.
Yeah. It's a very difficult one to answer, because keeping one's peace is relative. Our life is a roller coaster. Yeah. So there's times when you will experience a certain level of peace, but then there's gonna be a devil sitting somewhere just ready to destabilize that.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, it's too quiet in her life, it's too peaceful. Come on, demons, let's go. You know. So that's a bit relative. However, when it does come to mental health, I feel like I try my very best to look after myself the best way possible. I have fallen into situations where I believe I wasn't looking after myself well enough. You know, at some point I felt like I was drinking a lot, because sometimes you kind of feel like, ooh, let me just drink my sorrows. I'm not even going to the club or like going to a bar to drink, because like I said, I don't do that. So I could be at home and just like drinking. I could be in my own private space and just drinking, right? Drink myself to sleep, but that's not helpful. And then I realized that I didn't create myself, and there's always somebody I can always run to. Yeah?
Yeah.
Somebody I can always run to, and somebody who will always be my peace. So what I decided to do is, no matter the situation, I'll always pray. I'll pray about it, and if it's a really, really bad situation, like I feel like I'm in a bad space, I cry. I'll just lock myself up and I will cry and cry and cry. Cry myself to sleep, wake up the following morning, and I'll feel better.
Yeah.
One would ask, why don't you seek therapy if you have a lot of things going on? It's very difficult to seek therapy if you're in the public eye. As a celebrity, it's bad enough that you're in the public eye, so you automatically have trust issues. I don't care who is recommended. It could be a priest, a pastor, a nun. It could be a witch doctor. Look, I don't know who you believe in, whichever higher power. But that paranoia of, if I offload my life, am I going to find it in the newspaper tomorrow? If I tell this pastor, am I going to become part of the sermon on Sunday? You know, a famous celebrity came to me and she said, you know what I mean? Like, they're not doing it because they're trying to embarrass you.
Yeah.
But what if God speaks to them and says, tell them Mutale Mwanza's story, so I don't want to be part of this type thing. So I believe in prayer. That's how I take care of my mental health. Yeah? Alcohol is great, but it will take you nowhere. You will have a bad hangover the following day, and that's just that. A running stomach somewhere in between is not worth it. So, prayer, number one. Read the Bible, and if you need to cry, just cry. Just cry.
What is wellness to you? Because mental health, you've talked release of emotion,
Yes.
which is super important. Most times I'm like, don't pin up the tears.
Yeah.
The moment you feel like you need to cry, give yourself an opportunity to do it.
Let it out.
I'm sure wellness for you goes beyond that, though.
Yes, it does. Wellness for me is looking after thy body. Yeah? It's thy body. So that could be mental, that could be physical. So what I do to look after myself is I make sure I get a deep tissue massage.
Oh, yes.
At least twice a month, sometimes even 3 times a month.
Okay.
I have this amazing place I go to.
Yes.
And I just lie down for 2 hours straight. They even know that, when she comes, it's a lot of knots in the body. So we need to break this body and just, get her back to a nice state. So a massage is good. I like facials. Wellness also means holidays. take some time off, like put the books down, forget the social media, posts for a few days. I mean, you can check, but just don't post. Sometimes I take like brief social media hiatuses where I'm just not posting stuff. It like 5 days. Go somewhere quiet within the country. Zambia is very beautiful. Go to Siavonga, go to Samfia, just go to Mukalia. Just go somewhere nice and quiet and serene. I love game drives, just looking at Mother Nature, looking into the sunset. I'll be, just by the beach in a bikini, drink in hand, just enjoying life and just taking it all in. So for me, that's wellness, stillness. Switch off the lights, take away the noise, and just exist as me in a place where I won't be bothered, in a place where I won't bother other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I explained that very well.
I'm so into it. Hey, you explained it so well, and I like that you have worked enough to give yourself the opportunity to be able to live like that.
Yeah.
Some say that poverty is female.
Oh, God forbid! Why would anybody say that?
That is a line, and it's legit. And
really?
Sometimes I feel it is also a mental space that females put themselves in. Not that challenges don't exist, but sometimes I ask myself, what is it that the boys tell themselves to push so hard so that they make the money and get what they need?
Yeah.
Which is something that I think you've been able to achieve. What did you tell yourself, or what do you tell yourself? Because it looks like you're able to care for yourself and live the life that you want.
But what do I say to myself every day? I tell myself, fight on. I look into the mirror and I say, Jeremiah 29:11, God loves you, keep going. And sometimes when I'm very tired, I literally feel like I'm gonna have like a tear coming out of my eye. I'm like, go, Mutale, go, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like, don't let poverty be the end goal. You can do this.
Yeah. You married quite young.
Yeah.
Look at you. 3 years of marriage. You were 20 when you got married.
Yes.
By 23, you're done. You have your baby. But for some reason, it seems like you speak so well about your ex-husband.
Yeah.
To be honest, that is not the expected kind of conversation or narrative that people have when they break up. It's war. It's a war zone.
Jeez.
What is it that makes you... First off, okay, how is co-parenting and how do you make it work to the point that you don't speak negatively about him?
I think the beginning of the whole situation is acceptance.
Acceptance that the marriage is over?
Let's accept that, one, this hasn't worked.
Okay.
Let's accept that we are not together. Let's accept that maybe we are not meant to be together. Right? So let's accept a lot of things on a lot of levels. So let's accept. Acceptance is number one. Once you accept that, everything else begins to make sense. So if I accept that I am not meant to be with you, I have nothing to fight. If I hear you're in a relationship, I am not calling anybody. I am trying to fight nobody. I have accepted that you are not supposed to be in my life. You've accepted the same thing. We're good.
Yes.
If we have accepted that our situation has not worked out and we are able to find other people who we can be with and exist with, then life is even better. So with me, I feel like acceptance is the biggest thing between my ex-husband and I. We have accepted a lot of things over the years. And it didn't just happen like magic.
Was it a war zone before?
No, it was never.
The
goodness is that it was never a war zone, but it was uncomfortable because when you're married, you're used to a certain routine and there's certain dynamics in your life. But the minute you take that out, it means you need to begin to adjust life. Different dynamics enter the situation, and then you also have to adjust the child's life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't easy, but it's something that was gradual. And it was gradual in peace. We were never in a war zone, thank goodness. And today I can sit here and tell you that my ex-husband is a great dad. He's a great man. He's married now. And he's got 4 kids with his wife. She and I get along well. And we've just accepted that that's what it is. Like, life is great. I mean, I don't have problems with my son going to see him. When he's in the city, he comes to see my son at home. Like, nobody's being suspicious of, oh, maybe they're doing this. And there's a saying back home that at Ibala Diakareta de Ashupo Kulima, meaning a person who you've experienced life with,
yes,
wouldn't be difficult like to get back. Like, it's like an old ex. You can easily just go back and like reconcile. I've never had that. All we care about is my son, and we love him, and that's just it. Like, it's, I don't know, it's just great.
Do you think sometimes the reason for a breakup kind of determines how you enter that space? Because like you're saying, you guys decided it's not a war zone.
No. No.
So this was an actual decision that you guys had to make?
No, the reason for the breakup was obviously like, it wasn't very nice, but we're in a nice space. So I don't think the reason for the breakup should determine how nice you treat each other after you break up. Because even with me, there's certain things that happened that led to us not being together, which are very unpleasant for the both of us. And we could have sworn never to speak to each other again. But then for what? To whom shall it profit a man? To what shall it profit a man, rather? But like, and then what? We have a whole human being to raise. Like, how do we want him to live his life?
So that is the focus.
That is the focus at the end of the day. Because if we have accepted that we can't be together, at least let's give our child a decent life. We did bring him on earth after all. And can we do it properly? Yes, we've accepted, okay, we can't be together, we are not married, but for the sake of the child, let's give him a nice, decent life. And that's where you focus. So how you break up with someone should never determine how you treat each other afterwards. Character is very important. Your characters are what should shine at the end of the day.
I love that. At the end of the day, as you said, there's a whole human, and that's the important thing. The one that we must create a peaceful environment for them to thrive.
Like, even if you never had a child, or like even if there's no human being, can you just be decent and just be cool with your exes?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you'll never get back. You accept that it's done, but just be cordial. Don't have familiarity, but just be cordial and be able to leave relationships in a place where you can still be able to say hi when you meet, and not like try and get a dagger when you see the guy the next time. He's like, I want to kill this man. Like, there's no need. Like, bruh, it's done. Like, move on. You meet other awesome people in life. Even better.
As we are closing, what would you have said to your younger self?
You don't want to know the first thing that pops in.
Say it. Say it.
No way.
Please. Clean it up. It can't be cleaned up. Okay, what's the other thing you would have said to yourself in public?
Let's look at another version. What would I say to my younger self?
Yeah.
Love yourself more.
Yeah.
Love yourself more.
Do you think you would make different decisions if you had loved yourself more at certain points in your life? Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to the person that's watching and they're like, wow, I really like her and, you know, I'm inspired.
Yeah.
What would be the thing for you, especially when it comes to economic empowerment? Because that's the thing that's on my heart so much, that I think women should make the money, that we should work, we shouldn't be afraid to lead teams, because you actually have had the opportunity here and have the opportunity, as you said, you've got a whole team that's working for you, you're creating opportunities for them, you're making your money. What would you say on that?
What would I say on that? Seek God first and everything else will be added unto you. I'd gone through a phase in my life where I didn't know God and I was doing things anyhow, and things were happening to me anyhow. When I decided to give my life to God, and this is as far back as 2011, my life had more direction. Of course I slip and I fall, but I do get up. I'm human, right? I'm bound to err. But one thing that always keeps me grounded is just knowing that God has got me. Please refer to the parable of talents.
Yes.
The number of talents that God has given you, please multiply them and then see how you can get multiple streams of income just from that. So that's my encouragement to anybody who's inspired by me. If you're not a Christian, you're a Muslim, or whatever higher being you believe in, really and truly, please just look to that, and then see how best you can
monetize,
grow yourself spiritually, and then
yes.
physically it will manifest. I
Yes.
think from a Christian side, God does it for me. When you see me, just see God's glory.
Wow. Okay. Oh. Okay. As we exit.
Yes.
We've been exiting.
Oh, I know, but the conversation is too good.
As we're exiting.
I don't want to go. I don't want to
Someone's
exit.
listening to the Christian bit, and
Yes.
there's an expectation of what Christians are.
Yes.
And how we're meant to behave and live.
Yes,
and
Christ-like.
act.
Christ-like. That's what.
From our conduct to our language and everything.
Yes.
What kind of Christian do you perceive yourself to be?
I don't like to box myself. I'm a human being that was created by God, and I am loved by God. That's all. I'm not even going to box myself and say, oh no, I'm supposed to be like this, or I belong to this kind of group. Because Christians disappoint me at times. They create a certain group for themselves away from everybody else, forgetting that we're all created by the same God. And then you wonder why God blesses other people. Because you're sitting there thinking you pray a lot and you follow things and you don't cuss and you don't wear short skirts and you don't post pictures in bikinis, and then you're wondering why Mutale Mwanza is so blessed, and yet you're the one who doesn't do those things. You don't know my heart. You have no idea what's inside here. My physical appearance, my social media character, the things that I portray, and who I am and what I do, you have no idea. All I know is that a Christian should... let me not preach, because now I'm beginning to sound like a preacher, right?
Do it. I mean, if it's one of the talents.
It's not a talent. Well,
could be a gift.
It could be a gift.
Yeah.
Let me not limit God. But all I know is that I love God with all that I am, with all that I have, and I will worship no other God but Him. And that's the Christian I am. That's the only relationship I have with God. Everything else makes me human. That's all. So be that Christian. Because God will love you at the end of the day regardless. And let's stop being judgy and being Christian. Like, oh me, I can't just mingle with everyone. But love God. For me, that's the like that commandment is just God first. Just love God, and that's it.
I thank you for the chat. Because I feel like we were kind of at your house in your kitchen and having real talk and nothing too crazy, but for real conversation.
Yes.
Thank you for your transparency.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone at home, thank you so much for joining us. I don't think I need to say any more after that. You have taken what you can from this. And I'm hoping that you too can seek first and then grow and look at the talents that you have and make sure that you monetize. Because at the end of the day, there's that opportunity for us to do more, to be more, to give more, which at the end of the day, you end up receiving more because of how much you're putting out to the world as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, it's Womanity, and my name is Ruth Langston.